Okay. Onwards and upwards. Let's see. This one back. Right into it. With this, which I worked on a little bit on stream a couple of weeks back, and I'm circling back to it now because the HTTP server PR is in. Spent a good chunk of today doing some more reviewing and testing on that, and that's merged in now. And this was using that, so I kind of backburnered it a bit until that was ready to go. And it is, and so now I want to come back around and finish up the last bits of this, which aren't done yet, which are in notes file. Separate repo? Rust API. Okay, we weren't one more down though, huh? I have documented how I want this API to work, and at this point, a lot of stuff is done. In fact, I guess we could go through. I didn't go through the. Or I guess no. The things remaining are animation related. Everything related to the LEDs by themselves is all implemented and working, at least as of last time I knew. However, worth updating. This before we really do much of anything. We're going to try to implement the animation stuff now. I want an endpoint for it to tell it create an animation, and then an endpoint for it to tell it to run animation that has been created. One. Best thing. Test thing. Right. RGB. Error. So that same as the see right now. Copy this. Copy of it over here. Go here and then compare. That's good. Okay. Pull that and put it in CircuitPy. Just run it and make sure that it actually works. Library, so that's going to load up the server. It's been a mess with it, so we need to basically init strip first. Need to give it. This one does have authentication turned on with this as the key. This key doesn't do anything besides this right now, so it's fine. Has initialized NeoPixels on pin D6, so from there we can set certain pixels to certain colors by sending a post to pixels and then the ID, which in our case was D6. That will turn on. We have this now with 3 of them on. 2 red, green, and pink. So all of that's good. Not going to necessarily test every individual thing, although I believe everything is working. If we were going to run into trouble, it was going to be high level, like none of our routes work, because we need to adjust the way that these work, but this is already the new way, so it seems like we're good. We want init animation to begin, and let's look at the notes I had for this. Oh, did you, Devin? Good evening. So when I wrote these notes down, I said init animation, we want to give it an identifier. Probably going to be a name or a pin. Animation. Yeah, I don't think we want it. Well, is it tied to the pin? I guess it's tied to a NeoPixel. Tied to. But it's tied to pixels. So it does make sense to tie it, and pixels then is tied to the pin, so it does make sense to tie it back to the pin. But you could theoretically have multiple animations made for the same pixels object, so you would want to probably add something to the pin, like animation 1, animation 2, or even better would be like the name of the animation. So if you're going to do the blink animation, maybe it would say like blink underscore D6 would be the identifier. From this code's perspective, though, it could just be a string, ultimately. So you send it a string, you send it... Oh, I see, actually. So this would be the ID of the strip, but we also want to give it ID of the animation. ID of an existing initialized strip should already be initialized. You also give it the ID that you want to name your new animation that you're now initializing. You also tell it which animation you want it to initialize, and then you could also have like args. You give it args, and then we could pass those along here so that you could change things like speed and color, or else on all the animations. Okay. Let's give that a try. Here so I can reference it. I'm gonna find init neopixels and copy that as a starter, because that's kind of what similar-ish I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put all the animation stuff down below everything I have so far, though, which is all more directly dealing with the pixels. Init animation. Animation. It is going to take a post, a pin slash. I'm going to delete a bunch of this stuff, so we'll keep auths. It is required to have a strip ID, a animation ID, and a animation. Animation feels wrong, but I think it's probably supposed to be. Error stuff, if we not looking for that, we don't care about that. At this point, we already like the pin is already taken care of. If there was a problem with the pin, we wouldn't have made it to here. Data strip ID. So if ID, we're gonna say actually strip ID instead of IDs. We're taking two IDs. ID is none. If strip ID not in request data, we won't get to here because we're already checking required args. So this is logic from the other one. This was when it was setting the strip ID. Actually, don't need to do any of that. We need the opposite of this one. We're gonna say if strip ID not in context strips. Strip ID though, this is gonna be rec data. Rec data strip ID not in context strips. And we want to return an error. The error is that the strip ID is not found or whatever. I have quarks on this one already, so we'll just keep that name. Not going to be creating a pixels object. So I'm going to comment this stuff out. We'll delete it probably here in a minute, but really what we want to be doing here is I guess we could make strip ID. One thing we need is a list of valid animations, which we are going to do by way of dictionary. Blink is gonna go to blink. What's this? Maybe at some point we'll try to work it out to where we don't have to import them. I don't know. I'm not gonna bother right now. I'm just gonna import it. Maybe at some point we could have it to where, because like right now I'm just gonna add one, but ultimately I would like to support all the animations. But it would be nice to not import all the animations right away. Like maybe we wait until the user says, I want to use the blink animation, then we import the blink animation. It's like an extra layer of dynamics. So this one's just going to be blink like this, which means we're going to be able to like grab this dictionary, get a thing from it, and then use it like a constructor. Pretty much how this one here is. So one more thing we're going to do here, sort of in validation stage, is if rec data animation not in the animation dictionary, then we will return the error. Animation is unknown. Okay, so then when we get past there, we know that it's a valid animation. We've got our quargs. We are going to add this animation onto our context object. Probably animations will be another dictionary, which will not have anything in it to start with, just like strips was initially out. It will eventually end up with a similar kind of thing. We'll have animation ID for the key. We'll have animation object for the value. So, context, animations. Let's see, another thing we want to validate here. If rec data animation ID is already in, if it's in context animations.keys, if it's already there, that's an error. You get a JSON error. Animation ID already exists. Already exists. Can't initialize an already existing animation. Okay, now we go animations. The ID is going to be this. We look up that thing. We're going to set a new value into it. The new value is going to be animation dictionary, rec data, animation, parentheses, pixels is going to be context, strips, rec data. Actually, we have strip ID for that one. Let's use it. Strip ID. Whoa. That's our pixels. And then it looks like we have quargs after that. So like speed and color. So in that case, we would just be doing like quargs, which is our star quargs. To pass in those. That should create an animation, put it on the context object. Then at some point later on, you should be able to call animate, and it would run. About some things we might need for context still. So mode is going to change to animation when you animate. When the animation starts, when you call start animation, this other route, which we haven't set up yet, at that point, this is going to change to animation, and we also are going to want a thing that says cur animation. And I'm going to, well, it's going to be none to start with. And I think what we're going to do is put the key of the animations dictionary into there for the currently playing one. But of course, right now we don't have a way to make a currently playing one. So the question is, do we want to run this to test it, even though we can't really see the results of it? Sure, why not? Let's say print context. Let's print it out after we create it. Just gonna print an object, I think. Nothing that we can actually like do or see, or text address or something, I think, but will tell us if it exists. I will make a new one of these for, I'll copy this actually. Init neopixels will say init animation. Animation pin is actually strip ID. Animation ID is, I'm gonna say, so this is up to the user. I'm gonna call mine blink D6. Do we do shouty? Like we probably ought to do shouties. Quargs, we are gonna have speed 0.5. Color, not here. Color, I am not going to do color.red. Instead, I'm going to do what? Well, so color could be a list. Well, maybe not for this one though. Strings as hex values. Okay. 0x 00 ff 00. Let's call it. Run this. Missing required argument animation. Fair enough. We did not pass the animation argument. Seems legit. Animation. We want the blink animation. Strip D6 is not initialized. Also, fair enough. We did not initialize the strip since we reset because we changed the code. Now D6 is initialized. Nice. Success. It returned the strip ID. We should probably return, not that. Let's say success true. Let's say return the, I guess, the animation ID. Really, we just got from rec data. So theoretically, the caller already has it because they passed it to us. Right, though. Did it print? Blink? Seems legit. Okay. Let's make a start animation. Let's delete all of this too. So at this point, we created our animation. We got it now stored on our context object so we can use it inside our main loop. I want to steal the same. Well, so for one thing, I'm thinking doesn't make sense to have start animation all one word. Everything else is all separated into different words. They're like underscore for auto write. I would consider like a hyphenated word. I don't think we want to use hyphens. Excuse me. There's also a case to be made that we would want this animation ID. Because that's pretty much what we do with strips, is we have like the strip ID. In which case the animation ID comes in here. I was thinking here, yeah, it's already got to be initialized and it is the ID there. So let's copy like fill, maybe, or auto write. That seems fine. Copy more than that. Shrink all this stuff. Auto write. This is going to be start animation slash start slash animation slash animation ID. It's only gonna be posting. Yeah, gonna be posting. Animation request. Script ID is actually animation ID. If animation ID is not in context animations, then we will give this error animation ID initialized. If request is a post, not going to handle gets. In case I don't think we check. Required args. No required args. You just start it running. I mean, the animation ID would be the only required arg, but it's in the URL, and this required args is not talking about URL args. It's talking about in the JSON object. So not even gonna be sending. We're not even be sending a JSON object. So let's nuke all of that. All right, so we made sure that it was in here. It was. So what we want to do is not set the auto write. We want to go context.current animation is going to be equal to the animation ID. And then we tell it success true. That's it. Gonna set, also one more thing, context mode equals animation. No, I'm really bad about mixing quote types. Really, pre-commit in black just fix that for you. Context mode equals animation. So then down in our main loop here, we're also gonna need like, yeah, if mode is animation. Ah, see, we got ready for this actually. Current animation. I think I called it cur though this time, right? Yeah. Going with current. Set that. Oh, I did it there too. Let's better anyway. I would call animate. It's not in mode animation, then it wouldn't, in which case it will go back to just showing pixels. I guess one thing we need at this point now though is inside of fill and pixels, we need to set the mode back to, oh, already doing it. Love it when a plan comes together. Did I do that inside fill also? You're gonna want to do that in here, I think. All the way down here. One thing is though, Color is gonna be messed up. Wait. That succeed? Red. Seemed like it succeeded. I wonder. I think the color is not gonna work because I don't think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be accepting a string of hex like that. We need to convert it like that fill code was doing. Convert color to num. I'm surprised the animation allowed itself to initialize. Let's see if it works. I don't know if it's gonna work. Should have everything we need. So init the neopixels on pin D6, then init the animation. Thus, blink D6. Now we can start the animation. Send no data. Start animation. D6 in my case. Got success true. It is not blinking. Object has no animate. Let's go, Gordy G. 41, string object has no animate. That sounds like we tried to call animate on a string. We did, yeah, so that's a key, not an animation object. We need to go context animations square bracket context current animation. Okay. I think we got our success response back. I guess because we didn't fail until we got the next iteration of the main loop. Hit neopixels, hit animation, start animation. That's true. Still no blinky. Object string isn't tuple or list. Sure, that means my color is invalid. 441 called animate. It's interesting that it fails when you call animate, not when you initialize it. I would have thought it would fail when you initialize it. We had this code, and then we initialized this with something bogus, like not a color. But we don't call animate, we just call pass. Import LED animation test. Runs. So this doesn't validate the color when you create it. Interesting. So we need to convert that. It's awkward. Is then, well, okay, we should just put that one. That one should be outside of quargs. Pretty much all the animations are going to take a color. Color here. Do you keep it in quarks? I guess it could stay in there. Did I think something? Interestingly, there's probably like a default color if we just didn't pass color. Comments. we just didn't pass color, it might actually work better. I don't know what color it will default to. So hit the strip, hit the animation. Whoa. Anything greater than 0 is considered color? No. I mean, it's not a, but I mean, it's a string. In my case, it's not really greater than or less than anything. So you could evaluate it's greater than or less than another string, but be back in a minute. Now. Seeing required positional argument for 350. So if you don't pass, color at all. And it crashes when you try to create it. So it's required argument. It enforces that you pass it in, but it doesn't enforce that it's valid. So yeah, in our case, it's a string containing a hex technically. But I tried passing the first. Yeah, I guess let's put that back. Need to treat color differently. It's a little bit awkward that the way it enforces it makes it kind of weird. Like, we're not going to know if it fails until later on in the main loop. We're not going to know if the argument we got was valid. I think what we need to do is treat color separately. We're going to go color equals color, say comma, and then we're going to have to say color equals, what's that, convert num to color, quargs color. Means we're also going to have to validate that quargs exists and that quargs color not in quargs error. Sing. Required argument color. Out of two. Well, I don't know. I don't know if it's checking that or not. It may be. That's kind of outside the scope, I guess, of what the kind of validation I was thinking was more so. I mean, I guess it would be along the same lines, but more so like correct type, like a string, which is what I passed, like, is just an invalid type for a color altogether. But a tuple is a valid type. Now, a tuple could still be an invalid color if it was outside that range of 0 to 255, and I don't know. It may or may not. I'm not sure how the validation would work in that case. Color, so then color, but then we need to get rid of color on quargs, otherwise it's going to pass it again here. So we need to like delete it from the dictionary, which I don't do very often. Python delete from dictionary. Del is okay. Whatever you say. Please get out of my face. Del test dict, then the key name. Pretty much what we want to do. Del space quargs color. We want to get it out of quargs. That way we only pass it in here, not here. Okay. I mean, on some level, it will be the NeoPixel library doing some of that validation as well, because ultimately animation is just going to turn around and give it to the pixel strip. Pixel strip ultimately gets to determine what's valid and not, too. Initialize the NeoPixels, initialize the animation. Start it up. Nice. Blinky blinky. So then we could go back to not blinky by just using, for instance, like pixels, to set 3 pixels to different colors, because that's going to put us back into pixels mode. Okay. Well, it worked because the blinking is not running. It did not work because obviously it's not showing our things. So I think this is probably because of write. I bet if we called write, we could do actually with this. Unauthorized. Chicken. Okay, yeah, we got success true. Now those are set. But obviously the next thing that we notice is that we basically left the last frame of the animation in place. So we need to decide if we want to do that or not. I think I lean towards not doing anything about that in the code because, well, so one thing is that auto write got turned off automatically. The animation automatically turns off auto write. So one question is, do we want to try to set auto write back to what it was? And then another question would be, do we want to explicitly clear the pixels? And I think no. I think the answer is no, because the user can always just send the fill request to fill it with 0, much like this one is doing, in order to turn it off. So they could call start animation, they could let their animation run however long they want, then they could call fill to 0, turn everything off, and then pixels to set whatever pixels they want. And then in fact, after that, they could call write. And at that point, it would flip from the last animation frame to their new state that they set inside their pixels post. I do think we want to try to get auto write back. So if auto write was on before we started the animation, then I think we want to try to turn it back on whenever the animation stops. Old auto write. So when we call start animation, we want to go context old auto write equals context scripts Can you get pixels from the animation object? Color cycle. So where does animation? That pixel object. Have a thing. It's the object, unless you count the fact that say .pixel object. Actually, I guess that's fine because it's not leading underscore, so private. Plus, it would work. We're gonna say old auto write equals. We're not gonna do strips actually. We're gonna do animations and then animation ID and then dot pixel object dot auto write. Look up the pixel object belonging to this animation. Store its current auto write value into here because when the animation actually starts, that's going to set it to false no matter what it used to be. So then when we change back to pixels mode, we want to set that auto write back. So here, when we go back to pixels, we also want to go context strips strip ID, which is ID apparently. Strip ID dot auto equals context. This can't work because we technically need to be storing it per strip. So old auto write with an S is actually going to be a dictionary. Going to have keys equal to strip IDs. It's going to have values equal to Boolean true false values. Back start anim. this old auto writes, and then we'll access. We don't have the strip ID. Correct here by having strip IDs. Or from animation IDs, we don't have ID here. I was able to cheat and get the NeoPixel object itself, but the NeoPixel object doesn't know ID. So we're gonna go. Animation strip map will be keys of the animation ID and then values of the strip ID. What's up? So back to it, animation. We want basically create this here. We also want to go context animation strip map correct data animation ID equals strip ID. And we can look up the strip ID from animation ID. Back to start animation. Here we go. Old auto writes the strip ID, which is now context animation strip map animation ID. I will look up the strip ID, which is the key to the old auto writes dictionary, which we will then set the value of the old auto write into. Finally, back to when we are changing modes. We can go context. Wait, this is going to be gnarly lookup right here. Okay, context. We need to get so we're going from the old auto writes. We need the strip ID, which we have strip ID. That was not that bad actually. That was way easier. Why was that way easier? Did I do it wrong the first time? Suspicious now. Do I need that map? Right, okay, yeah, I need the map because we don't have a strip ID inside of here. Yes. This one is way harder, but that's because we needed to get the strip ID from the animation ID inside pixels. We already have the strip ID because it got sent to us. So that should set auto write back to the old value. But honestly, we really, if context mode is not equal pixel We only want to do this if not already in the pixel mode. So that should flip it so that auto write comes back on, which then should make it so that our change takes effect immediately. I believe we will still have the thing in the mix where the last frame of the animation is also going to stay on, I'm pretty sure. We're going to end up kind of basically the same way as it is now, with a bunch of it being green. But we won't have to call write. Well, this worked. Hit the neopixels. Hit the animation. Start the animation. Set the pixels. Setting strip ID. Auto write. Probably should be checking to see if that value exists and it's not none. Neopixel and hit the animation. I just accidentally closed that. Animation stopped. We got success true. Saying that we're setting the auto write to false. Auto write should have been true. Maybe when you initialize the animation, sets auto write instead of when you call animate. Oh. Okay. BRB. I gotta run to the restroom. Yeah. Okay. So we would need to set this inside a knit animation, not inside start animation. Falsely assumed that that would get set when you called animate the first time. We actually need to save it before we try to initialize the animation. And we don't have an animation ID, so we can either make it or we can use this. I've already used this a couple of times. It's a reason more so why we should make it a variable. Okay. Before we initialize it, we set the old auto write value. Hit the pixels, hit the animation, close. Shift F10, respond. For animation. We have done this too early. Old auto writes context. Right, we haven't set the map. So on the upside though, we have the strip ID and the animation ID here. We might not actually need the map anymore. Trying to get the strip ID, but we already have the strip ID in here. In which case, we're not actually gonna not set that if the rest of the code runs. It will. Okay. Hit the neopixels, the animation. Animations. Yeah, also, we're trying to get this from animations object, which is obviously not set because that's what the next line is setting. But again, we have the same fortunate thing, which is that we already have the strip ID, so we should just be saying context strips strip ID auto write. Should make one thing that does more than it does all three of these basically. Init the strip, init the animation, start the animation. Now we want to call pixels. Oh, here? I got rid of that printout, I guess. That was, or no, maybe that was when we call pixels. Okay. Auto write is handled. Auto write went back to being true, which is how it was initially. We do still have the problem though of the last frame of the LED still shown. but somebody could maybe want to use the last frame of the LED potentially. I mean, it would be tough to know what frame of the animation you're on, so I guess it would be tough to be predictably using it in some way. But I mean, they could send fill, so like we could have sent fill before we sent pixels. Fill 0 would have turned everything off. So I guess though we could have like, maybe we could say, inside of pixels, there's an optional argument for like reset first, like turn every, like the most concise way to say reset or turn everything off first. It's reset. Reset true. Blank canvas true. Blank pixels true. Off pixels true. I'm gonna say blank pixels, which is a Boolean. If true, turn off all pixels before setting the new ones. So then inside pixels here, if you say, so it's optional, you don't have to do it, but if you do say blank pixels true, then we can have it set them empty first. Yeah. Yeah, it's tough for me to fathom, but yeah, I can see like conceptually some, if it's running slow enough, somebody could somehow like want to add to the last frame or something. Add additional individual pixels to it outside the control of the animation. Yeah, that's true. Blending. You want to do some manual, like in between two animations, do some manual blending of some sort. Okay. We want to, inside pixels, we want to find our optional argument. Pixels is here. We want to have already gotten request data. We could go do we do it before we, yeah, no, I think we go after this. That way, oh, but auto write, yeah, if we want to fill and we want it to be guaranteed to work, we need to actually call write ourselves. Their old auto write value could have been false instead of true. So then they could be getting set back to false, in which case our clearing wouldn't work. So let's do it before this. So technically it doesn't matter if we go before or after, but I'm going to do it before. If blank pixels in rec data keys, then we say if rec data blank pixels, I'm gonna say equal, like I'm gonna go full on like is literally the value true, not just like it exists or whatever. So if it is the value true, then we will call context strips strip ID fill black, which will turn them off, context scripts script ID right, so that it will be guaranteed to actually go. Okay, yeah, I think now is the time to, for sure, let's find some of these. Let's just copy init neopixels. Let's say init pixels, and I'm gonna say and start animation. We're gonna do all three. Init pixels and start animation. So first we init the pixels, then we init the animation. Wait, where'd that go? So it's like... the animation also. That's not working. If it was working, it would recognize them as different kinds. Oh, there we go. Yeah, that. I don't know exactly how many you need, but it looks like 3 is working. Now these 3, it recognizes all 3 of them. We could run them independently, but I think I can run them all with... Boom. All the way to blinking. So now at this point, we should be able to also go pixels, and this is now saying blank pixels true, so it's going to turn everything off before it sets these, if it works. Invalid JSON. Because true is JavaScripty on this side, I'm pretty sure. Nice that it didn't. Nice that nothing broke. Let's double check that before we say it. That's true. Nice. Yeah, it blinked out, and now we've got those. Technically, it was 50-50, I think. I could have accidentally ran it at the right time, where even with the old version of the code, I'm pretty sure we could have landed on this one. So let's try it again and see. Let's just do start animation by itself. That should get us back to blinking. We should be able to just go pixels again. Yeah, that time I'm pretty sure it was on and we cut it off early. Felt like it was not on its full interval. So that time I feel like we would have gotten all greens if our blank pixels was not working correctly. So also, if we don't have this, then it should go back to the old behavior. So go to blinking and then do this, and we have a 50-50 chance. Okay, and we came up on green. And also, if we set this to false, we should similarly have that 50-50 chance. We start at the blinking, we run this. We hit our 50 chance to come up with the lights off this time. But we can prove it as a chance. Hey, hitting it the other way. There we go. Now we got it with it on. So yeah, a chance there. Cool. Nothing, I removed it as well, and nothing was sad about that. It's good. We don't want to make it required. It's definitely an optional thing. Let's go in G forever. We're in the Twitch chat there. I don't know exactly how long ago you left that message. It doesn't have timestamps for me. I won't lie, have not been keeping a super close eye on that chat, but it's been up, so I think that's relatively new. Playing around with Game Builder Garage. Nice. I just got that like a week or two ago. I have not gotten into the meat of it. I've made it most of the way through the tutorial at the beginning. So I kind of got like the basic concepts and stuff down, but I have yet to go back and play with the actual just creative mode. It seems pretty sweet though. I'm particularly interested in trying to interface microcontrollers with it, but I am not sure if that is too lofty of a goal. I don't know if it's going to be possible on the last tutorial. Nice. All right, and then of course if we go back to true, we can always guarantee that it will off. And in fact, we could even we could blank out our old design as well. So actually this is pretty neat functionality, even aside from the animations, is like, let's say we sent it different things this time, right? With blank pixels true, that allows us to explicitly clear the canvas. So very much dislike the way that you right click and then release after you have moved 1 micropixel, nanopixel perhaps even, closes the window instead of anything useful. Yeah, that's kind of nice. I had not thought of this at all before running into it just here, but I actually really like that functionality. Even if you're never touching animations at all, that's just really convenient to be able to tell it, hey, fill 0 before you set the new frame, before you set the new stuff. You could try to use this to play a GIF if you had a sufficiently large grid of neopixels. I suspect it would be slow enough to not look like animation, but depends on your network, really. Could use texture node-ons or something like on and off texture node-ons for the lights. Nice. Yeah, I'm curious to try plugging. These devices are USB as well. I'm curious to try plugging those into the Switch and see if the microcontroller, which is what these are, can send signals that the Switch will interpret as like as if they came from a controller or something. 512 node-on limit. You can use the game swap node-on to connect games to make a gigantic game. Nice. Shift F10. I need to start using that. I should shorten it, honestly, because that's really inconvenient, because I have to use both hands. Is that true? Technically, I could use just my right hand, but it's super uncomfortable. I'm not probably going to do it with one hand. Yeah, I need to change it. Something else. Does, like, Control R do something? Find replace, fair enough. Wait, no, I just did Control F, but Control R is gonna be find replace. What an interesting coincidence. I have Windows key entered an R. Can I have Windows key R for run? Hotkeys, I think. Hotkeys. Keymap. Undebug run shift. That's shift F10. Does that run with shift F10? Oh. Yeah, so the problem, that ran this thing up here, though. The one that's in this dropdown, which is not the one we want. We want this one. Let's say Control Shift F10, though, here. Absolutely did run that one. So I guess Control Shift F10 is specifically run the open file? Oh, but the thing is, there is no Control Shift F10 here. Oh, whatever action that is. Python. HTTP client separate? I think that's like HTTP client though. Create request. Those are run. In main window, run. Alt Shift F10. And Shift F10. It's super unclear to me why we have one inside of a folder and one out here that have different key bindings. Control Shift F10. Run HTTP request. Gonna move on probably very quickly. Diving back in one more time. Yeah. No, well, Control Shift F10 works on the Focus tab, I'm pretty sure, but just Shift F10 goes off of whatever is currently selected in this dropdown. It's usually the last thing you ran. What I would like, though, I want the tab focus. I want to click the tab and then do some hotkey and have it run the tab that's active. Control Shift F10 is that hotkey, but doesn't seem like it wants to let me change it, or it's not showing up in that list as anything that I can see. Yeah, well, I'd like to have it on the keyboard and have it not be Control Shift F10. I would like to make it like Windows key R or maybe Windows key Y. Y doesn't make any sense because it would be doable with the same hand, with one hand. It would actually be pretty convenient. Yeah, and just key Y would be fantastic, but I'm gonna spend any more time checking with it right now. This pixels, and then that's the other thing. I guess what I was doing other times was like right click here and then doing run, which it also finds down here, but for what that hotkey aligns with. Can I search by last thing? Can I search by keys? Control. Other thing. I need to like reverse search it because we need to try to find what that action is, because that would be the one we need to change. But if we don't know what it is, then it doesn't seem like we can find it. Okay. So it's the basics of animations working. We could, obviously at this point we have only the blink animation. Let's make sure that different colors are working. Change this up some. So strip ID will leave the same. I'm gonna call this one blink D6 blue. It's gonna be blink, it's gonna be blue instead of green. Let's change the speed also. We'll go twice as fast. Okay, blink D6 blue is now initialized, so we can start it. That there. Nice. It still looks a little green through here, kind of, to me, but it is blue, and it is blinking at twice the speed, and it's freaking the camera out a little bit, because it seems kind of like an inconsistent rate or something, but that's working. I do want to turn it off, though. No, I think we did not. Yeah. Inside fill. Inside fill, we need to change the mode still or something. Pretty much gonna need all of this also inside of fill. Why the animation kept playing. So fill Empty. Unauthorized. Oh. Add the token. Also, that's the wrong strip. There we go. Okay. Tried out microcontrollers, but I've tried Arduinos, and they're pretty fun. So you have, in fact, then. So Arduino is a microcontroller. Essentially, Arduino is just one programming language that you can use to write programs for microcontrollers. And here I'm using CircuitPython to make this one, which is kind of like an alternative to Arduino, essentially. It's a different way that you can write programs for microcontrollers. Fetch to run context PDF key map to print. Fetch to run context, print your key map. Run context configuration. Run context configuration. Shift F10. Move. Add. Windows key Y. Didn't take Windows key though. Control Y? Can't I have Windows key? Alt R. That's a nice one. That's one-handed. That's the other hand. Actually, even better. Say we then go to pixels back here, quick pixels, and then Alt R. Bam. Or start animation. Bam. Nice. Thank you. That one's way easier to search. Okay, I think I am gonna call it a night for now. There. Basically, we got the animations working, which was my main objective for the evening. The things that we have not necessarily done yet is the fact that right now it supports only exactly one animation, which is the blink animation. We will... The most basic version, the easiest thing to do would be to just import a bunch of different animations from different files instead of all the same file, and then fill out this dictionary with a bunch more animation constructors. That should work fine, as long as we don't run out of memory from importing them. But the next level up would be to try to do some kind of smart only import it when the user says they want to use it. That should save a fair amount of RAM. But that is going to be a challenge for a different time. So thanks for hanging out, everybody. DJ Devin, thank you for sure for that key map. Mega hug report for that. Alt R, I'm going to try to get in the habit of using Alt R to run like that. It's going to be super handy, I think. Thanks for hanging out for a bit over in the Twitch chat over there, G Forever. Nice to see you pop up for the first time. Hope you have a good rest of your evening, or whatever time of day it is for you. And thanks to Gordy G also for popping up and saying hi over on YouTube. So I will see you all next time. Until then, hope you all have a good day and a good rest of your week and all that stuff. See you later.